So I got about halfway through watching this on my own and decided that I actually should probably watch this as a reaction video on my channel because this is a really cool story and I think that it points to something we talked about recently. I did a reaction video to one of Asmongold's discussions on streaming, right? About like what it takes to be a full-time streamer and what it takes to get to the point where your life can completely change, as this title suggests. Um, so I started watching this because he was actually mentioned in that video, and I don't follow Darth Microtransaction. I've seen a couple of his things here and there, but it's he's not someone I follow on a regular basis. But I may have to change that because I really appreciated um, this video and just the way he approached this with the candor and everything else. Because I saw a similar. Well, I'm just gonna. There are some points I feel that are similar between his and my journey, and I kind of thought it would be fun to talk about and discuss. So we're gonna watch this video together. I have already watched the first, like I said, the first, I don't know, however, what is it? What did I stop at? Like 6 minutes in, and I was like, I should just react to this. So, from what I understand, not knowing his history, not knowing a lot about his channel, he explains a little bit of the backstory here in the beginning, and so I might not talk as much during the early sections because it's kind of like just let him speak, get that stuff out of the way. But essentially, living in a really crappy place and improving that situation a little bit. Mostly just focused on being in a place where he could survive doing the thing that he loved. So living somewhere really cheaply in a place that was really affordable, just so that he could just make videos and do full-time content creation. And then doing that, surviving at it, but not really thriving, and then seeing a game. In his case, it was Diablo 4 came along and blew his channel up. Baldur's Gate 3 did that for me. And so it's very interesting to see this conversation from another content creator's perspective. Now, obviously, he's much bigger than I am, and I have no idea how long he's been doing it. But I want to watch this video with you all, and I thought it was an interesting listen.
Well, now, um, we made it to the new setup finally. I've been talking about moving so long that it actually happened.
So he just moved,
And
apparently.
here it goes. Maybe some of you will miss the TV and the Christmas tree in the background. I know that's been a topic of debate. And the DVD logo hitting the corners from the TV. But here we are. I want to do sort of an unedited, just
Dude, I do
kind of
these
tell
all the
you how I
time.
feel.
I love
last
these
year.
types of videos. That's how I love to roll.
You know, I lived in the cabin for a number of years. I don't know how many years. And before that, I lived in a really shithole apartment. I'm going to call it that because it was. And I've explained it before. But basically, you could hear the neighbors yelling at their kids, and the kids are crying, and there's garbage literally all over the front yard. The way my neighbors threw out their garbage was by taking their trash bag and throwing it out the window. But it was
Cheap.
I think it was $900 a month or
Cheap.
something like
It
that.
was cheap.
In a not great neighborhood, and that's what I needed.
So I do want to pause for a minute.
Because
That's
my
what
mom
I
had
needed.
a heart condition.
That's what he said. That was what I needed. Thumbs up. So this goes back to something which I've talked about in all of my presentations. I've always talked about, and I said this in the previous video, the Gary V discussion on it applies to so many things, like the streaming thing that Asmongold was talking about, but just the mentality of doing something that no one else will do so that you can live the life that no one else can. It's the entrepreneurial mindset. Entrepreneurs do the things that no one else is willing to do so they can live the lives that no one else can live. And so it's the ability to put yourself in the mindset of I'm going to go do this thing even though it's unpleasant because it's going to make my life so much better in the long run. So living somewhere that's not your preferred place to live because it's affordable, because it allows you the financial flexibility to do things you want to do so that you can build those things into a dream that can transform you like his channels did. So let's keep listening.
And I was worried about her, so I wanted to live close. And the cabin was fairly close to my parents' house, enough I could walk there. And for some of you that might know, my brother lives out of a van because of the job that he has, as well as he loves the van life stuff. And my dad's got this cool garage shop. And so my brother is very often at my parents' house working on his van. So it was enjoyable for me to be super close to family all the time. And that was basically part of the reason that I took the cabin, but also because it was cheap and all the utilities were included. Um, and they had internet and all that stuff that I needed for my work, right? And I was covering mobile games. Some of you might remember I covered them more though for a while, and I was just big chilling, trying to survive, just doing what I wanted to do. I want to say wanted. I was doing it and surviving doing it, but I wasn't really like flourishing. I don't know if that's the right word. Let's call it flowering. I was doing okay. I was surviving. All right. I was getting to do it playing video games and making YouTube videos, which
Now, before he goes into the next part, this is the part I want to focus on. So I have been he's going to talk a minute about how Baldur's Gate 4 or not Baldur's Gate 4, sorry, Diablo 4 blew his channel up. It did not for me, but Baldur's Gate 3 was very good to me. But Diablo 4 for him was the game, and um, he had been covering mobile games before that, so like it was a completely kind of different thing. But just doing game guides and tips videos and everything else, and surviving but not thriving. That's essentially what he's talking about. He was getting by doing the thing that he loved to do, but he wasn't necessarily the business wasn't expanding that quickly, and etc. And I can say, and for those of you who are channel members here on YouTube, because we do go over the algorithm and the numbers, not necessarily every month, but at least every quarter, we talk about here's what happened with the algorithm, here's where our ad revenue is, here's what membership revenue is. I like to talk about all that stuff because you guys have been here. Remember when Baldur's Gate 3 went into early access, I only had 80, like 85, 86 followers on this channel. That was, 3+ years ago now, and now we're closing in on 26,000 as of this recording. So obviously, I haven't seen the type of explosive growth he has seen, but I have seen some big jumps from my channel, and I have been blessed to be able to do this full time now for. I think I just crossed. I don't know exactly what day it was. Sometime mid-February. Um, my third year as a full-time content creator, and I've been incorporating streaming more regularly, and I'm trying to grow that side of my business, the streaming side of things. But I have been making a full-time living off of this for going into 3 years now. And what he just said is keen to me because I am not in the my numbers are good. My numbers are good, and I like the way he phrased it here. Um, our bills are paid month to month. The numbers are always going up and rising, even if they're not rising astronomically. We always have what I like to call net growth. Net growth is the only thing I care about. At the end of the month, did we make more money than last month? Did we gain more followers? Do we have more followers than last month? Did we do more traffic than last month? Did we do, what is the, and every month we are net growth. And that's the only thing I care about is net growth. So from my perspective, and I know just before I recorded this video, I recorded the latest member video where I was talking about the experiment that I've been doing the last 2 weeks, changing a little bit of my content up because I wanted to see how that was going to impact the algorithm, and it's doing exciting things. So we're going to be continuing to stay tuned to that. By the way, if you want to learn more about those types of things, the algorithm strategies that I use from my background, 15+ years in marketing, and all the things we're doing to continually push growth across YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, so on and so forth, the Patreon page. You can check all that stuff out. It's in the members section of YouTube. I do member videos, so if you're a member of the channel, all you got to do is join. If you haven't already done so, you get access to all those videos. We do a lot of other stuff with our channel members, but that's the big one. So I can resonate with that because I've been very open with our channel members, like in our Discord community, that I would like to be in a position by the end of this year. I would like to be in a position to hire a full-time assistant who can do video editing and thumbnails and everything else. But it is dependent on the numbers being where I need them to be by the end of 2024. And knowing that I can predict at least X amount of growth is good, but it's going to be even better if we have something that blows us up in 2024, which you don't bank on that. You don't, and that's not your goal, but you do look at that and go, okay, I know that I can do this right? On my own without any big breakouts. But if you have any big games, like I know with like Baldur's Gate 3 as an example, when that came out, we saw like a huge like 300% spike in everything over the course of like 4 months while that was peaking. He saw the same with Diablo 4. He's going to talk about it here in a minute. But I'm very much in that phrase of I've been the first year 2022 was surviving. 2023, I think it was in June, right when Baldur's Gate 3 announced that we were going early. I started covering the trans because they had announced it was going to be 30 days earlier, and my channel immediately went like this with Baldur's Gate 3. And then since then, we've come back down and we've established it's a different rate of growth than it was before Baldur's Gate 3. It's the net growth. It's a greater momentum and greater trajectory, which is awesome. And now we're just sort of looking around playing different games and saying, okay, my numbers are better than they were last year. They're better than they were in 2022. So I've gone beyond just surviving. And now we are in that phase of we're making more than we need to pay the bills, which is a good thing, but we're not making so much that we can just go crazy and hire an employee or go on a vacation or something. It's still very much nose to the grindstone. Like I'm blessed that I get to do this full time, but I am not yet at the point where I'm making, I think for me personally, I have an internal switch that says if I can hit, like if I hit $8,000 a month through all my various, YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, etc. When I get to the point where I'm doing 8,000 a month, I will consider myself to have achieved success as a content creator. I'm not there yet. I'm still very much in the growth phase, so I love listening to videos like this. And I'm going to shut up now because I've been rambling for like 10 minutes.
which is pretty much what I wanted. And then Diablo 4 happened. And obviously, we've seen some growth from that because Diablo 4 was a very lucky situation for me where a lot of you guys decided that you liked my content and a lot of you stuck around, and subscribed and all that. And we were one of the fastest growing gaming channels. In fact, I think it was vidIQ, one of these channels that makes videos kind of explaining like how to do YouTube channels and stuff, actually used our channel as an example that gaming channels aren't really dead in 2023 going into 24. And that was cool to see, mostly because I guess it's a little bit of narcissistic curiosity, but I do find it interesting to see where other people try to diagnose how did I got to, what happened. Because I don't really know as much myself as much as, I had a few strategies I employed. I tried to cut out a lot of the bullshit. I noticed that was something people responded to quite well was, if it's a tips and tricks video, say 15 tips and tricks, the first words out of my mouth should be tip number 1.
I don't do that.
So I kind of tried to stay with that. Maybe we squeezed a little bit more of the bullshit in and started covering, drama and other. I'll admit to that. Fair enough. I like talking about the recent commentary points.
Why
though.
not?
But the point being that Diablo 4 was not only great to me and my channel, but a lot of people, because Diablo 4 was one of the most marketed games of all time that I've seen, at least in my history around gaming. I'm 33 as of last month. I had a birthday here somewhere recently. And, I've been around a bit for gaming. And not as long as everyone, I guess, but, I grew up watching my dad play, like, Descent and Myst. I played Carmen Sandiego and, Command and Conquer. And, some of the OG games, maybe not. I wasn't playing Dune, okay, for the first RTS ever, but I was playing the second. Age of Empires, all these games. I could go down the gamer resume, but you get the point. I've been around for a moment, and somehow I got into doing mobile games, and now I'm back here into PC games. But the point was, in the time that I've seen, Diablo 4 was one of the most marketed games of all time. It had some of the most hype built up around it. There was most people looking for information on it. Yep. And I kind of hit this lucky streak of I happened to be covering the previous Diablo Immortal game, and then I obviously wanted to move to PC because in my mind, that was sort of the promised land, let's call it. I wanted to sit in front of the computer and play PC games. I didn't want to play phone games any longer.
That's
And
fair. You know, wanting to make a
when
transition.
Diablo 4 happened, it, it was life changing for me, to the point of like I almost didn't know what the fuck was happening in my life. All I was doing was the same thing I'd already done, which is try to make videos that will garner some attention from being good at guides and tips and tricks and stuff. I knew I wasn't a good enough player to make great builds. I tried to make a druid one in the beginning. Werebear pulverize. If we're being honest, it's one of the most obvious builds in the entire game, but it was what I came up with, and I picked druid on purpose because
He just said something very important. He was sticking to tips and tricks guides as opposed to build guides because he wasn't very good at those. You'll notice that my series, as an example, I focus on the Ultimate Beginner's Guide. That's what I've done. That's mostly what I'm known for in terms of making guides is the ultimate beginner's perspective for any game that I play. And the reason I do that is because it's easy for me because I'm a new player and I know what to generally look for from a game developer's perspective as well as a player's perspective. And I've done enough. I've been around the block that I know how to make those videos work. And they do. They work exceptionally well for my channel and where I'm at with my growth, everything else. They've been tips and tricks videos, and Ultimate Beginner's Guides are very good. But the build guides are the ones where I don't get into that. I will do a beginner's guide and I will do like a here's the character at max level guide for any given build that I'm playing, but I always preface it with it's my build and I never go beyond that. I don't try to do multi-classing builds, and I don't do like all these crazy Fextra Life type build guides because there's already people doing those. I don't need to do that, and I also don't really have any desire to go hyper deep into any given game for prolonged periods of time because I am at the end of the day I'm a variety streamer. So I try not to have the channel be too focused on any one given game at any time. Obviously we do have games that become our primary focus for a couple of months, maybe 3 months. But beyond that, like I'm always looking ahead, like what are we going to be playing next? And so I get where he's coming from though, with like not wanting to do guides and sticking like build guides and sticking more to like just tips and tricks guides, playthrough, walkthrough guides. Why is I always hate the mouse.
I didn't really see people liking druid. And
Sometimes I get the mouse and keyboard, it doesn't want to work because I always forget that I've clicked away.
I honestly thought that my best chance is I'm going to be one of the smallest people covering this game. So if I get a small niche of druid, people might not be playing druid that much, might not want to cover it. It might be like a dead category. And maybe some people will watch me who like druid. That was basically, I'll be honest, that was my thought process. Ended up being that, it went very well, and more people were playing druid than I thought, I guess. But I guess more people were playing Diablo 4 than I thought, to be quite honest with you. And then the Twitch went well too, and that's when I really started to get excited because I knew that I could do what I really wanted to do, which was live stream and actually have people to talk to. I got this monitor over here. I got my big monitor in the middle, and I got like the other one that I put vertical. And I look so tired, by the way, because I've been moving. As of yesterday, I made a video with my entire setup, and that video was done in that same day at the house. And now today's video, if you can't tell, we moved into a house, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. And we did that all in just a day. But I have this other monitor here, which I put my chat on for the live streams. And when the chat is there, I used to get like one message every now and then, and I would respond. I'd read literally all of them. And it's gotten to a point where I can't read all of them. You know what I mean?
So I'm not there yet. I've had moments. I love listening to this perspective. This is why I wanted to watch this whole video. I've had so what he just talked about. He was a content creator first before he got into streaming. That's the same thing I've done. Is that I've always focused. I was just focused on the content creation first and foremost, just because of where I live and the difficulty at the time. When we first moved in here, we only had the one internet connection. Then we got the second internet connection because just the town is growing around us. And living out at a homestead, I don't have fiber optic anymore like I did in the city. I have cable internet. I do have a backup fiber, but it's a local company and it's a very small package. what they offer, but it's enough to work as like a backup connection for streaming and stuff. But we live in a remote enough area that if there's a connection issue between us and the major city that's 2.5 hours away, every internet provider here suffers. So if one goes down, oftentimes. But what's interesting, the guy that I have who is a backup, um, he's an engineer for one of the major telephone companies here, and he actually has a Starlink connection as a backup for all of his customers. So when things have gone really crappy, I've still been able to have at the very least a minimum connectivity with Starlink because of that guy. So it's been very interesting. So one of the reasons I haven't streamed as much as I would like to stream is just because I don't have fiber optic and my internet, like when there's storms out here and there's power outages, like I'm good 98% of the time, but there are days when I just can't do what I want to do live, and I would love to be live more often, but focusing on content creation first. And like he said, he was a content creator first before he went to um, streaming. And like he said, it used to be, one or comment every now and again. He could reply to all of them, and now he can't. And I've had days like when we first started streaming Baldur's Gate 3, I had like there was a day when I had like 180 people watching my stream, which blew my freaking mind. I couldn't keep up. We had like a good 2 weeks of like 130 to 150 people following during the initial peak of Baldur's Gate 3 launched, and then I had a good like 3 weeks of like 80 people watching the streams, and then we dropped to like 40 to 50, and then over the course of like 2 months, it went back down to where it was like 20, 25 people watching the streams. And then since then, we've started to incorporate lots of other games, and we've done other things. We've done Wasteland 3, we did Starfield, we did Cyberpunk 2077, we did Rogue Trader, we did I forget what I did in January. Dragon's Dogma 2, 1, also World of Warcraft, incorporating that into the channel now and starting to do an MMORPG and the other First Impression series, everything else. And I can say that, like, as of this recording, we're back up to where I'm seeing, on a good day, I'll see 35 people per stream. 35 people per stream is a pretty good day right now, between Twitch and YouTube. And that is pretty steady commentary. Like if you listen to me streaming, I generally answer everybody's comments. When there's 35 people watching, I can generally get to everybody's comments when I'm playing. Beyond 50 people watching your live stream, it's just impossible. And so you just kind of look over and glance at things as it's going by, and you answer the ones you can. I was just watching one of his live streams before I watched this, and he had like 1,700 people watching him live. So I don't know what his numbers are on a day-to-day basis, but that's like I can't even fathom. I can't even fathom having that many people watching me live. Like the day when I had 180, I was like, "Holy crap, what's happening here?" And it just varies. But I've never focused on the live streaming as much because of all the issues that I've told you. So if I can ever get to the point where we have reliable internet, and that's probably just a modernization thing with where the homestead is. Over time, things will get better. Um, I stream when I can. I try to do every day at noon for 2-3 hours, but I don't do like 6-8 hours a day. I can't because I can't rely on the internet to do that, and there's just too many other things to do as well. When I've been focused on content creation, but the strategy stuff we've been talking about with the members, like I've got something that's been working and it's a little different, so we'll see.
But just being able to see the messages and know I'm not alone while live streaming was actually pretty awesome back in the day. And I didn't really ever think that that was going to be a thing that I could do. Um, but now I live stream every day, and there's tons of people that subscribe and talk to me and all that stuff, and legitimately enjoy the content. And I'll be honest, you watch me live, I'm a little bit more animated than I am now because I am aware that I'm attempting to be entertaining, or at least no one wants to watch a boring live stream and me not saying anything for 8 hours. So I try to ham it up a
Eight
little bit and have
hours.
some
Ugh.
fun. Um,
That's the hard thing for
with
me is
it.
streaming for eight
Whereas the
hours.
videos are me a little bit more reserved because I feel like I'm talking to my audience and almost like
I would also say this too, because I could say that I've been very open with my community members. Like when I've got 30, 35 people and we're doing good, and we're still at 30, 35 people at 3 hours in, I'll go to four. As long as the audience is there, because I'm not making a lot, but I am making some residuals off that. So even if no one's super chatting on if like we're multi-streaming, right? So even if no one's doing bits, cheers, and subs on Twitch, and even if no one's doing super chats or memberships over on YouTube, If I've got 35 people, I know that the ad revenue from those videos contributing to everything else I make means that I'm going to hit my minimums for the day, and so that's good to me. Um, I've been very open with people that if people want me to stream more, you just tune in. Like you got to be there. Like the factor for me of streaming more is numbers. Like if there's more people tuning in and there's more people talking, like it's really hard to be entertaining for more than 3 hours if there's only 5 people watching or 10 people watching and not a lot of people are talking. Like it's hard to be entertaining for 4 hours. But when you're streaming for 4 hours and you've got 35, 40, at least for me, 35, 40 people, 30, 35 people, whatever it is, those days, um, there's enough chatter going on that I don't feel bored. And I know that there's a minimum being met there. But I've been very open with people too. Is like I would happily stream if my internet will keep up with it. I would stream for 8 hours a day, but I would need there to be an audience. Like there would need to be 100 people tuning in on a reliable basis to know that I'm going to get the views from that to pay advertising revenue, and I'm going to get bits, cheers, and subs on Twitch, and I'm going to get super chats and memberships. This is not me going out of my way to say, hey, pony up and pay. What I am saying is that there is a financial motivator for me in terms of streaming because I can make more video, I can make more money doing content creation, making tips and tricks, guides, and walkthroughs. I can make more money doing that than I can being live. And until that changes, I won't stream as much as I do content creation. That being said, I would love to stream more. Like him, all of us feel good. This is the narcissistic thing he talked about earlier. All of us feel good when there's lots of people watching and subscribing and super chatting and it's you feel justified for being there. So when you see a guy like him who's getting, 1700, 1500, 2000 people per stream tuning in, that are watching, that feels good. It feels very good. It's very hard to do that when it's much less than that. So that's the struggle of I'm not ashamed to talk about that at all because my bread and butter is not streaming. So I've had people come on my streams before and be like, "Dude, you've only got 12 viewers. You suck." And it's like, I don't really care. Because I'm not here to, this is not my bread and butter. I'm streaming to because I find it entertaining and it's a way for me to give back to the people who do pay memberships and subscriptions between Twitch and YouTube and also, Patreon and everywhere else that people support me and they buy my books, they do all these things. Like I do try to be live for a couple hours a day to be able to hang out with community members and to have that connection with people. But for me to go beyond, 3 hours a day, generally speaking, the numbers have to be there for me to want to do it. And also the feel good factor. Like it's really easy to feel good when you've got 1,500 people tuning in and you're making a reliable income while doing it.
An announcement or like a official. So this is me coming to my podium, I guess. Like the presidential podium to like address the audience. And that's how it feels like anyway to me because of the mic and all this stuff. But anyway, back to the Diablo. So Diablo 4 is one of the most marketed games of all time. And when it happened, I didn't know that I was going to be able to have the ability to continue to do YouTube forever. So I sort of panicked and just started working as hard as I could. And, making videos every day, multiple a day. The editor, Jim, shout out to Jim, was pumping out shorts. We started pumping out the second channel. And my logic was, make hay while the sun does shine. Like,
That's totally what I've been doing for the last 2 years. I've talked about this a lot. I do 5 to 7 videos a day, and I try to be everywhere. I want my face plastered over everybody's mobile. I want to be on TikTok. I want to be on your Instagram feed. I want to be on your Twitter X feed. I want to be on your YouTube feed. I want to be on your Twitch feed. Like, I want to be everywhere. Like, I want my face everywhere because that's how I make a living. And if I want to see the growth that I want, I have to be willing to hustle because entrepreneurs do the things that no one else will to live the lives that no one else can.
attempt to do what I can. People seem to be watching me now. Casey, you have no life as of this moment. Go out there and make the content, is basically what I thought. And to be honest, I think that was the right move because you got to
Never
deliver
stop
the
grinding.
content or else people can't watch the content, right?
What did he say?
Move because you got to deliver the content or else people can't watch the content,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But in the next 6 months that have continued to happen, I realized, or I'm starting to realize, and that's kind of where we get to the house move today, that on the back half of the doing nothing but grinding and making content and worrying about like,
Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand.
what do I do now? Like, there's a whole lot of what do I do in these types of situations where you have a channel that grows. And I wasn't the only one that had a channel to grow. It's not like I don't have millions of subs. I'm still a, smaller mid-range channel. But there was enough growth that was basically scary, and I didn't know what to do. So
I don't have that problem. But that's also because I'm older than him by about 10, 11 years. So I've already seen some success. I've done multiple companies. I've worked on multi-million dollar projects. I've raised millions of dollars in funding. I've done a lot of things for a lot of different clients and projects over the years. So I very much I have a 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year business plan, and then that's adjusted based on factors of 6 months and possibly every 3 months, depending on certain things. But when I started this journey, I very much had it mapped out the next 3 years minimum, and we haven't even got there yet. So I'm ahead of all of my projections, which is good. And all I'm really doing is just grinding out until I get to the 3-year plan mark, and then we're going to go into phase two, which is the 5-year plan mark. And I've kind of teased a little bit about that. Like some of this is, getting to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, getting to 5,000 on Twitch, getting partner on Twitch. Like I have secondary, tertiary goals. Um, but yeah, it's I don't have the issue of not knowing what to do. Like I already have everything mapped out, and as soon as I hit X amount, everything above that goes into business growth and hiring other team members, and it's scaling the business. But I've done this before, so that's why I said for me it's not an issue of not knowing. I've already scaled up businesses for the last 20 years. So
just made more content. And as we're on the back half of that, where it's like, okay, it's been 6 months basically now or more. I actually forget what, June? I guess it'd be like almost 8 months or something. Now that we're on the back half of that, I've had some time to sort of breathe and understand that it doesn't look like this is going away in terms of, I'm not going to, at least I hope I don't jinx it, but I'm not really in the situation where I'm panicked every day about like, okay, I hope this is a good month because rent is due and, all these types of things. Like,
I can speak to this a little bit because I've been very open about the fact that Chris and I, we own our place free and clear. So I can say that it's very relieving to know that I don't have a rent payment hanging over my head. I don't have a mortgage payment hanging over. We have no school loans, no student debt, no car loans, no credit card debt. We have zero debt. Chris and I have zero debt, and everything's paid for. So the only thing we have to pay every single month is our bills. And anything beyond that goes into upgrading gear. I'm going to need a new laptop this year. This chair. My channel members bought me this chair. My channel members bought me this headset. My channel members bought me the capture card that I bought like October of last year. I streamed for 2 years without a capture card, everybody. I literally would just run it straight through Streamlabs. And in the case of like PS4 or like whatever, I would stream it to like PS Play and capture that window on Streamlabs, and it looked like crap, but it worked. It was like 720 by 1080, 12, whatever, 720. Um, So I don't have the stress that he has per se for there, but I can say that I definitely still live with because I'm not doing big enough numbers on YouTube yet that I can afford to just sit back and go, we're good. Like I can, I don't want to say that I stress about the numbers, but I still pay attention to the numbers. I absolutely do because yeah, it's been a good 8 months for me as well, since I mean June was the last time I really had to look at it and go, oh, I'm a little stressed about this month, because June, once we got to June, I was no longer like, we were no longer tapping into our savings to fill in the gaps here and there. It was like, oh no, we're actually paying all the bills. Um, and then it's every single month we have done more than the bills and had extra to upgrade and do things like, put the patio roof that we had to put on the homestead. um, it's been nice to be in that position, and not doing the paycheck to paycheck thing. um, there's a certain relief to that, but I'm not at the point yet where I can ignore the numbers. Like, I still very much have to know the numbers, but I get what he's saying here. He's finally feeling like maybe I can step back for a minute. Like, you always wonder, is this a bubble that's going to go away? Like he mentioned something earlier, is YouTube going to be something that I can do forever? And the thing with me is, I know that YouTube won't be around forever. So I've been very open with people. I'm going to do YouTube until I can no longer do YouTube. I'm incorporating Twitch. I'll do that until I can no longer. I'm going to see if I can't get my TikTok monetized. I'll take that as far as I can. I'll take Patreon as far as it can. I'll do these things until I can. In my mind, the perfect scenario for me is if I can make this work until I'm 50. I'm 44 right now, so I'm 3 years into this career. So if I do another 6 years, I'll be, essentially 10 years in, right? Um, if I can get to 10 years in, most of the big content creators I know who are, 7+ years into this have got 500,000 subscribers, half a million, well, maybe not subscribers, but they've got 500,000 followers between like their YouTube and Twitch, and they're getting, 5, 7,000, 10,000 viewers per stream, and they're making a healthy, $8,000 to $15,000 a month. Um, Knowing that that's the trajectory that I can hit, um, gives me a solid goal that I can look towards, and you know, of just knowing that if I can do that and we hit all the numbers that we want to hit, then by the time I'm 50, we'll have made enough money off of YouTube, and again, knock on wood, that we could buy a second place and have two different places and we can rent the one out, and we could literally then at that point live off the rental income, and the other place is paid off. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans off. And then my plan at 50 is just to spend the rest of my life just writing books full time and using my YouTube channel as a place to share. I'll probably still game. Who knows if YouTube is still around, or if it evolves to the next virtual reality thing that we all want, you know?
Life is starting to happen again now that I'm not just so focused on like I gotta go like what do I do? I'm less panicked, you know. Um, and this life is starting to creep back in a little bit. It's made me realize that life has actually gotten a lot better and is kind of
Yeah, you're not
continuing to
broke
get a
anymore,
lot
bro.
better. Which brings me to the house today. So I didn't purchase a house; I rented one, and this isn't exactly like the fanciest thing ever, but it has a garage, which in Alaska is huge, and I have an actual bedroom now, which is dope, and then we have an office, which is even
Studio
cooler
space,
because I get to
baby.
put my office shit in here, and
Yeah.
you guys don't just have to endure the Christmas tree all the time. Um, and I'm gonna do something silly here for a moment, but there's a lot of room here. Like I can, I can kind of walk around in here a little bit,
Do some
I
yoga,
think is
jumping jacks. It's awesome.
which is quite great. There's a wall over here, and you can't see it, but just off camera here, I guess I could turn the camera a little bit here. Um, that's like a bathroom, and then there's like a walk-in closet, like right here, and all that, which is basically just a bunch of boxes right now. So, we got some room to play with here, um, which is exciting. You might have seen some of the memes of me trying to do like a kickflip and stuff with the Diablo skateboard back in the day and all that. But that's all happening like within like an arm's reach of each other. Like it was a pretty small setup. So I'm pretty thankful for that today. And I didn't really want to do like like a short hype video or something. I just kind of wanted to talk out my thoughts here for you guys. So even though it's just a square box in which I make videos and do the live stream, the square box means a lot to me that I work in. I worked in an actual square box before, which was a cubicle. And the cubicle job that I had was basically taking angry bills calls, people that their bills were messed up, etc. And it was one of the most soul crushing, defeating moments of my life where I hated every second that I woke up. I hated going to the job.
Yeah, I've been there.
And when I came home, I was mentally exhausted and I didn't want to go to bed because I knew I'd have to wake up the next morning and do it. Now, that is just a job. A lot of people must do that. And I work a job, which this is, but now it is something that is actually enjoyable. And that has never stopped being realized by me, even in the last 8 months. I was talking about earlier about how like I panicked and was just focusing on making content, which is true. But during the entire time, I have continually been excited that this has even happened at all. And that's why I've made like probably 4 or 5 videos like this talking about it.
There's nothing wrong with
Um,
that, man. I will say the box thing makes me chuckle because my my little office space makes up about 25% of our total square footage in the house. It's a very small home. It is a technically two bedroom, but the other bedroom is like a dining area that we've decided to make into another room. So it's got a kitchen, two rooms, and a living room, and a bathroom, and then a backyard. It's not a lot of square footage, but it's fine because we always talk about this. Like, what do we need? Air conditioning, internet, place to sleep, and a place to cook. Like we have all that. And then if you look at our backyard, it's not a huge property, but we have, Chris has 20 chickens running around back there, and she's got a new round coming in soon. So we're probably gonna have like 30 chickens running around. We've got 8 cats. With all the rescue cats. She wants to get a dog. Like we have space for animals. We do meat chickens. We do meat chickens and egg chickens. I would say probably 80% of the meat that we consume is stuff that we have raised ourselves and butchered ourselves. I should say Chris does all that because I'm usually in here just focusing on content creation. But I joke about it being my cell because I have the only air conditioning in the house. And there's a bed here. There's a little individual mattress, which we will both sleep on together when it's really hot. Um, but usually it's just one of us at one point in time will lay down for 4 or 5 hours while the other person is working. And so it's like I stay up really late and do stuff and sleep weird hours, and I take naps here and there, and I very much just, because of the way I don't have responsibilities that normal people have, so I very much am, if I'm awake, I'm here doing this in my little box. And if I'm not awake doing those things in my little box, I'm probably sleeping on the bed in my little box. Other than there's probably about 5 months out of the year where I'll sleep on the master, on the king size in the big open area we've got, which is the living room technically. Um, but you know, probably it's probably a little less than like 70% of the time I probably sleep in here with the air conditioning. And so I just live in this little box. But I don't mind it because I'm doing the things that I love to do. Like, are you kidding me? I get paid to make YouTube videos and play video games and talk about nerd stuff and tabletop and video games and movies and TV shows. Like, I wouldn't trade that for the world. I really wouldn't. I can remember living in the US full time back in the day, and this was years ago. And even back in like 2007, before I went digital nomad, I remember Colorado being like $6,000 a month for two people, and that was back in 2007. And that was with a truck payment, my gas, all the you know the apartment rent, the cost of running my small construction company. I had 2 employees working for me, and just the costs, were like $6,000 to $8,000 a month for two people, and it was just not feasible. And ever since I've been out and being able to live on, $1,000 to $1,500 a month, I've been doing that now for since 2008. 2008 was the first year I moved abroad, started living, doing the digital nomad thing, and since then I've kept my expenses under. In most months they've been under $1,000. When I was solo, for sure, like $750 a month, $1,000 a month. Living in crazy places around the world, having a great time. And then even with Chris, we've talked about this a lot on the Homestead channel, and then before that when we were travel blogging, like being able to rent fully furnished apartments in great places like, you know, Barcelona and Dublin and London. Maybe not so much London these days, but lots of really cool places, and you can find, fully furnished apartments that you can rent for like $650, $750 a month, and all you need to pay beyond that is like groceries, like and health insurance for whatever country you're living in. Like you can easily keep things down to like $1,200 a month, or less for a couple in most places around the world. And then if you go a homestead, or do something else, you can live even cheaper than that. So I'm rambling. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Because I think back to those days of working in a fucking cubicle and going insane
Oh, working for
doing
my
it.
dad in
And then you have the
construction.
guy next to me that's like taking the
Hate it was
call and just
horrible.
like, I don't know how he could do it, but he'd be like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, you hate me? All right, I'll go fuck myself. Have a great day. It's like, I don't know how he managed to get through his day every day doing.
Oh, I tell you how he did it because he does it the same way I do it. Anytime a troll comes onto my channel, you'll notice that my comment is usually something along the lines of, "Sounds like a you problem, not a me problem," because it literally is. That's what it is. It's a you problem, not a me problem. When someone's rude to me, there's a quote attributed to Keanu Reeves. I don't know if it's him that actually said it, but it's something along the lines of, "Thank you for removing yourself from the amount of people that I give a shit about." There's a list. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Thank you for removing yourself from the list of people I should care about. Now I'm going to go focus on the other 6 million or 6,999,999,999 people. Like, thank you for removing yourself from the equation. So I was just like, sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. And my other favorite is, oh, honey. And I literally, I'm hearing a southern accent in my mind. It's like, oh, honey, you think I'm upset? No, honey, I get paid to interact with you. Like trolls, it's all algorithm juice. It's all people who think that downvoting a video means something. No, nothing. What it means is that you're telling the algorithm that that video doesn't mean anything to you, so that you don't necessarily see something like that in the future. It doesn't mean that the algorithm is not going to recommend that video to someone else. A click is a click, a comment is a comment. It's all algorithm juice. I get paid no matter what. So for me, that's how I've always looked at it is, um, working for my dad, like I had rocks thrown at me. My grandpa kicked me in the head. My dad hit me with sticks, and I remember one time I pissed him off so bad he was putting a CB radio in a truck, and I snapped off. I was probably 12, 13 years old, and I made some sarcastic remark, and he like yanked like all the wires out, like 3 hours of work, and he just yanked it out and turned around and just like yanked my britches down and whapped me like 3 times across the ass, the bare ass cheeks with all those wires, welted up, and I couldn't sit for a week. Um, I've been through some, and that was the, somebody I worked for years and years and years. So I understand hating your job but needing to do something to make a living, being able to get away from that and do what I do now, where I just get to make content. I get to play video. And the funny thing is like I remember growing up, my parents were always like, video games are the devil and you're gonna rot your brain and everything else, and I get to make a living doing it. Like,
Doing that. But I know for a fact if YouTube had not been my way out of that, I wouldn't. I don't even know if I'd be around, boys. I'll keep it a buck. Like that was absolutely
soul
mind-numbingly
crushing,
brutal for me.
soul crushing.
And so I'm just really, really thankful for the last 8 months, and I'm thankful to the sponsors that like G Fuel, Starforge, people that have gone out
I
of their
still
way
don't have
to,
sponsors.
support
You got to
me.
get
And
much. You got to get a lot
I'm
bigger to get sponsors.
extremely thankful for the viewers. I've said this more times than I can count. For you guys watching, and I'm sitting here looking. I have a live counter that shows the subs. I mean, literally, I'm gaining subs while I'm making this video. Like it moving into the house was encouraging.
Move it up, bro. You're moving up.
I'm 33, which I know is still young, but when I was 32 just last year, before Diablo and before the channel and before all the support, um, I didn't have a lot of money. I had debt. I didn't have a lot of good prospects. I don't have a college degree.
I never went to college. Dropped out of high school.
I wouldn't know what to do, to be quite honest with you, outside of what I do here. And I'm sure that, I could call up a talent agency or something and get a job as in marketing or something like that nowadays. But like, I didn't have prospects, and so just moving in and setting this office up this morning and being like, you know what? I got my amp here. I got my synthesizer. I got my other piano you guys haven't even seen yet in the background. I got, my cool setup here with my Calvin and Hobbes books and shit that's going to go on there, and just the things that I love. Um, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Getting emotional. Man, I feel for you, man. That's a cool place to be. I would love to be at a place. If you remember when we first moved in, for those of you who can think back to a couple years ago, remember I didn't used to use the green screen. I used to just have like behind me was the bed because I used to be in a different corner. I then moved it around so that I could have the air conditioner blowing straight at my face because it gets way too hot in me. And I was sitting in the back corner where the air I never really got the breeze of the fan. And I sweat, so it's like when it gets to 115 degrees outside, and I'm on the west facing side of the house with no shade, like it'll still be 90 to 95 degrees in this room in like from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon till about 7 o'clock at night during like the peak of like May, June, and July. Like it'll be hot in this room for at least there's like 2 months out of the year where it's really hot and I swelter a bit in the room, but outside of that, it's not too bad. Um, but you know, I like this guy's video. This was a very interesting thing for me to listen to. Oh, I forgot. I got sidetracked. I remember I was telling that story. I used to face the other way. You remember I had a bookshelf? It was always over this shoulder, and it had like Lego models on it, and like I put my Christmas tree up there, and everything. But the problem was the base of that was an outside wall, and the termites kept getting termites coming into the house, and they kept eating away at the legs of that bookshelf. Like if you know, like we'd like mop and clean and like use anti insect mops, liquids, and like within a week later they'd be back, and it's just constant battle with them. So we just got rid of the bookshelf. We like put it in another room completely. It was like I can't keep having this happen because it's becoming a thing, and we can't have termites in our house. So it was this thing where you can't exterminate them either because they're just everywhere here. It's not as cut and dry as it might be some other places of the world. But anyway, that was I wouldn't mind going away from a green screen because it's a lot easier to just have this back. But I don't have an office that I want. Like this is not my man cave. This is just the temporary setup while we're here, just grinding. Like this is just the grind. You don't need to see anything back here. Like me having a green screen is the best thing for everybody because literally, if I were to lift this up, do I want to lift it up? I'm gonna lift it up. You guys are gonna. I'm gonna dispel the. I'm gonna dispel the myth. Oh, it's not gonna show it because it's like a greenish paint. Um, it's just a concrete block wall with like water-based paint on it that's peeling off from humidity, and it's ugly. You don't need to see that. So um, I like this video enough to sit here and give you almost an hour-long discussion around it. I'm also going to say that this has inspired me. I'm going to do a follow-up to this that's just me talking about the same things, things that he's talked about. Give a little more insight to some of the people who might be new to the channel and just talk about that because this is something, I do a lot of these kind of discussions, maybe not, hour long ones, but he did a 17-minute video. I do a lot of those for our channel members, but I do something for the rest of y'all. So expect to see a follow-up from me on this topic. So congratulations to him. If you're not already following him, I think I'm not following him, but I liked his channel or I liked the video. Let's go ahead and subscribe. I'll hit the bell icon. Why not? So I don't know what his growth has looked like. So that's very interesting. But he's got like 290,000 on YouTube, and I know on Twitch he's got 150,000 plus, I think. He was streaming when I started.
Look how slow he.
He had 152,000, and he's got like 1,400 people watching live. So that's respectable, man. I can only hope that I could eventually get to this point where I can have 1,500 people watching me because that's pretty impressive. Like I can tell you that I feel really, really good. When I saw those 150, 180 numbers at Baldur's Gate 3, I went, oh, this is what it feels like to be successful at streaming. Maybe I'll get there one day. But then also watching the numbers, over time, people got tired of Baldur's Gate 3 and they want you to do other things, and not everyone's going to tune into all the things you do. It's like, so, I'll go play like Enshrouded and only get like 12 people watching the stream. Whereas if I do like World of Warcraft or if I do Dragon's Dogma, there's 30, 35 people watching the stream. Like, but I always am seeing those numbers growing. So I guess my eventual hope is that with time, I would love to be in a place by the end of this year of being able to make a transition and say, I'm no longer a content creator, I'm a streamer. And having a full time person there to cut my videos for me, make my YouTube shorts for me, to be there by my side and just help all that happen. I don't know why this went blank because I was not focused on that channel on that video. Anyway, great video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Obviously, this is a really big one, so kudos to those of you who stuck it out. We're almost at the hour mark. Daily streams here and on Twitch. I do lots of different stuff. It's a variety channel. I don't do Baldur's Gate 3 anymore. Like right now, we're doing lots of other stuff. We're still dabbling in Baldur's Gate 3, but that was a big growth thing for my channel. But I've also leaned into many other things, and some of you have stuck around for all of it. So to those of you who have come along for the whole journey, and you weren't just there for a little blip, I am very grateful for you. And there's going to be a follow-up video to this, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I'm out. See you guys next time.